And we're now going to look at the lights chapter. So we have various chapters, sub-chapters under chapter 33, the lighting one. We have 33-10, which would be cockpit lighting. 33-20, which would be the cabin lighting. 33-30, which would be the exterior lighting. 3340, which would be the cargo lighting, and 3350, which would be the emergency lighting. These are the different categories of lighting we have on the A320. And basically for cockpit lighting, we have various. I'm not going to go into the various options now, but basically the principle of lights is you have a switch and a light, and you switch it on and the light comes on, and you switch it off and the light goes off. We have various floodlights to illuminate areas. We have dome lights to illuminate in a thunderstorm, for example, at night. We have map lights to indicate on a map that a pilot might have, and all the panels, the instrument panels, have also integral lighting. Okay, where the gray panels, the white writing on the gray panels can be illuminated. And see these two here, these two controllers, they would illuminate also the liquid crystal displays inside a panel. So these are the various different types of lighting. The opportunity to make them here, to put them in bright or dim. So we put them in bright during daylight hours because they need to be bright because of the background light from the sun, or we dim them during the night because it's dark, just like your car basically. And we can also operate the test function and put all the lights on and see which light is not working so that we can report it at the next landing. Okay, so we basically talked about all this. We talked about map lights, side console lights, the panel and instrument lighting, there's briefcase lighting, there's the sliding table lights, there's dome lights, all for different occasions for what they might be used. So the cabin lights go via the SIDS directors. Remember those SIDS directors which are responsible for all the lighting in the cabin? Here they are. So all the controls, whether they be on the flight attendant panel or whether they be at the passenger service unit for the terms of the reading light, for example, they will go via the DEU, the decoder encoder units, DUAs for the passengers, and connect, because these, we said, they're lined in through the cabin and they're responsible for 2 or 3 seat rows. So if you have 30 seat rows on the right hand side and 30 seat rows on the left hand side, you'll have 10 or 12 of these DUAs for the lighting. You'll have some for the passenger call lights. You'll have some for all different functions. Okay, here we go. So these are the passenger lighted signs. We said we got the fasten seatbelt still exists, but the no smoking has been replaced now with maybe something else, like do not use or the internet, the Wi-Fi, availability of Wi-Fi, because nowadays all flights are no smoking, so there's no need for it. Okay, we have area signs as well, the lav signs here, exit signs, which will be illuminated automatically when we're coming into land. Okay, so as soon as they're sort of wired up to come on when the landing gear comes down, because when the landing gear comes down, we're going to land, so the exit signs must be illuminated. Or if the emergency lights are activated, then the exit lights come on, because if you're in an emergency, then everybody needs to know where the exits are, so therefore they will illuminate automatically. All managed through the flight attendant panel at the front. Okay, so this flight attendant panel again is used for monitoring, controlling, and testing. And the MCDU provides a testing interface as well. The emergency lights, I'll go back one. The emergency lights, see this red button here? The cabin crew can activate the emergency lights if required, or the flight crew in the cockpit can activate the emergency lights. So the idea is aircraft, so the crew get on board, and before the flight, they arm the emergency lights. So they move the switch from the off position to the armed position. That means that if the aircraft loses power, for example, both engines go off, and there's no APU because, and the battery has stopped supplying as well because it's broken into bits, or there's been an emergency or a crash or whatever. Then as soon as the power is lost, then emergency battery power packs will put on all the emergency lights automatically. Okay. When there's no crash during the flight, as long as this switch is in the arm position, those emergency battery power packs are getting charged and waiting for their time to operate. Okay. There's also the on position means I can override the arm function and switch them on and put all the emergency lights on. Obviously, if I put that switch on with no aircraft power on, then I'm discharging those batteries. So we don't want that. We always want this push button, this switch to be in the arm position or in the off position. We don't want it in the on position while there's no aircraft power on, because the batteries are getting discharged. All right. We also have the seatbelt switches and the no smoking switches as well, which we can at will switch them on or have them in their automatic function to operate automatically. Here we are. Here's this emergency push button on the on the flight attendant panel for the emergency lights. So here are some different configurations of emergency lights. So some airlines have these illuminated, so these lights on the inboard side of the passenger seats. Some have these, what they call these photoluminescent strips, which require just light to be able to, they basically store light. And then when the power is off and the cabin is completely dark, they glow, fluorescent. You can also have lights in the ceilings up here, which will operate. Okay. And you have these emergency power supply units, these EPSUs, they call them, where this is the battery, which fits in this supply unit, which basically gets charged while the aircraft's got power. And the battery, this bit here, will operate when the aircraft doesn't have power in an emergency. I even have lights externally here, part of the emergency lights. So when these emergency exits are opened, these emergency lights will guide, because it might be pitch black, will guide the people evacuating to follow the arrows to the back of the aircraft where the slide is, sorry, it's the back of the wing where the slide is, so they can then slide down and evacuate the aircraft safely. In terms of cargo and service compartment lights, so everywhere there's a service panel, there usually is some lighting with a switch inside in the area of that service panel. There's lighting in the cargo bays so that they can be loaded during the night. Okay, there's an area light here as well. When the door is fully open, then this area light will come on and will aid the FMC, the container loader that will drive up, so that the guy can see what they're doing. The controls of the lighting. So I have all on one panel here for the external lights, for example. I have the strobes on or auto. So they can be auto. So they start operating once the aircraft is weight off wheels. Okay. Or I can force them on, or I can force them off. I can operate my beacon lights, my wing lights, wing inspection lights. My nav lights have two systems because the nav lights are critical. They're the red, green, and white lights on the wings and on the tail. So I have two systems because if I don't have nav lights, it would impair my night operations. Therefore, most all aircraft, all 320s have two systems now, independent, so that they could be flexible in terms of MEL when one of the lights is not working. I have runway turn-off lights and I have landing lights, which are retractable and come out and switch on during landing and retract and extinguish when I'm in high speed flight. Also have on the nose wheel have a takeoff and taxi lights. Sorry, turn off and taxi lights. Sorry about that. Here are all these lights that those switches were controlling. My taxi light, my takeoff light, my turn off lights, my wing and engine scan light. So these I switch on to see the wing, the leading edge of the wing, to see if I've got any ice on it, for example. My anti-collision beacon, the top one, the bottom one, my landing lights that extend and then auto retract, or don't auto retract, they retract when commanded to do so. And my strobe lights here on the wing tips and my navigation lights. So I've got two navigation lights, two greens, two reds, and two whites for the tail. So if you see, this is the APU. This is the APU exhaust here. Just below it here is the two white position lights or nav lights, tail nav lights, and also a strobe in between them that will flash, okay, to indicate that there is an aircraft when it's pitch black. Okay, and in terms of if I'm testing the lighting system, the lighting itself is easy to test. Switch the system on and the light should come on. Switch the system off and the lighting should go off. If I'm testing cabin systems, then I have to do it via interrogation of the SIDS directors, which I do it as part of the system report test, which I tell the centralized fault display and interface unit, the CFDIU, mate, please speak to the SIDS. I want to do some tests of the cabin. Okay, and there you can do some tests of the cabin. You can call up an MCDU, just like the MCDU in the cockpit, but you can call up the MCDU on the forward attendant, flight attendant panel, and do some tests here without having to go into the cockpit. And lastly, there are safeties even for the innocent lights. Okay, there are lights are very, very hot, especially landing lights and things like that. They are strobe lights are dangerous. Okay, there's a lot of voltage goes through strobe lights. Lights smash, they break, they leave glass everywhere. Don't get it in your hands. So make sure you obey the safeties even for lights, because there are lots of them. And you want to prolong the life of the lights. Don't leave them on for too long. Don't leave the high-powered landing lights on when it's 40 degrees outside and daytime, because they're not required to be on, and you're going to decrease their life, and you're going to, just be busy changing lights for fun. Okay, so all the safeties should be adhered to. Okay, the some of the manuals it says in one of the notes it says do not remove a strobe light for at least 10 minutes after you de-energize the electrical circuits. All right, so the strobe light is basically a charged up capacitor, and the charged up capacitor is just waiting for any change, and it goes and discharges. So you don't want to be causing that change. You want it to time to elapse before you go anywhere near it because the voltages on these are very, 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 very high.